Hello, awesome people. I hope you're having an amazing day today. Today I'm taking a look at the next short story. It's called The Pillars of Melkarth. It's about 55 pages long. It's here in this Scroll of Thoth collection for you folks. It collects all of Richard Tierney's works during the Roman Empire. It's starring Simon Magus in the Cthulhu Mythos and so forth. And this is the finale. And the final one. So we're going to be doing my deep dive into it and so forth, and what my thoughts are, without doing spoilers for you folks, because I don't want to spend, in case you haven't read it. This was published by Chaosiam in the mid-90s in 1996, and it collects all the works of Simon Magus. They're in chronological order, so this is the last one for you folks. Now, as a reminder, Simon Magus is a character who is a Samaritan. He was captured by the Greek by slaves and such, and then sold to the arena, and then spent a couple of years as the gladiator until he won his freedom. And then after winning his freedom in the first short story, he'll then turn to magical powers, which is where his surname Simon Magus comes from, and he's considered a strong mage by the time that this is happening. So that's basically the core concepts of who he is and such. It's more of a sword and sorcery interpretation of the Cthulhu Mythos, typically, until this story. And so, for example, you might have the occasional comment on Antartakos or the Black Pharaoh, Neferin Ka from Fame of the Black Pharaoh, and earlier stuff and such like that. But it's more or less stuff like that. It just lives in the same universe, but really does its own sort of thing, right? And again, it's much more of a fantasy take set in the Roman Empire. This guy who's on a vengeance quest because they killed his parents and captured him into slavery, right, against the Roman Empire, and they are cast here as the evil bad guys of the era. So that's basically the key parts of what's happening. So that's sort of the castaways and so forth. And then this short story again enters, and it's very different. Again, so I took about a couple of days. I figured it 55 pages long. It'd take me more than a day for me to read. Almost right. It's probably about 3.5 hours for me to do. So you could definitely do it. It's divided into a few subparts and chapters. So it's definitely a longer read. I don't think it uses its length well. So, for example, all the previous short stories, they might have mentioned the Cthulhu Mythos thing here or there. This is deep into the Cthulhu Mythos. And it's not a great way, and I don't think his way of doing it does a great job of sort of building that infrastructure into place. I just don't think that this was the finale that I was hoping for, right? I just don't like it. There are some things in here that I've given 8s to and so forth, but this has Cthulhu mentioned, Cthulhu, it's Cthulhu, Father Dagon. It's deep stuff, and you're going to spend pages and pages and pages of world building and conversations about stuff and the past histories of various characters and so forth. And I feel like at the end of the day, there's just way too much. It felt more like a Generation 2 story or Generation 3 that was just sort of trying to fill in the gaps and deep stuff and world building rather than just, an actual proper story. I don't think that this story is 55 pages and 2 days of reading epic, right? So build up the story, make it better. Show me more action and less talking, and so forth. So what I like to do in my spoiler-free reviews is to give you the first few pages so that you would know sort of what's happening very, very quickly. So basically what's happening is that we're going to find out that a slave bringer who is brought in Tyre is where we're set, is the main character, and he is bringing forth a bunch of kid slaves that he paid for to a priest who's a new priest in the Temple of Melkarth in Tyre, who's a god of fire. And then we're going to find out that this guy has recently just become the guy in charge after being the adjunct, and he killed the head guy because the head guy wasn't going to follow his orders, and so forth. So that's the setup, and then we're going to see these children are going to get sacrificed to Cthulhu, and then because they're true souls, that's welcoming to him. He likes that, and so he sends fire elementals to assist. And now the idea is he's going to capture more true souls, and then summon Cthulhu after more and more sacrifices of true souls. So that's the concept of what's happening. Now, that doesn't feel like a Generation 4 modern take. Now, this is decades ago, right? Even when this collection was done. But it just doesn't, like I said earlier, it just doesn't feel like a Generation 4 take, which is much more modern and so forth. Like, it feels like Generation 2 that was run from 1940, a few years after Lovecraft died, which was typically run by Boggs Dirtleff as the main guy, or the second generation, and if in the second generation, or the third generation by Lynn Carter, which sort of doubled down on how badly they were going to talk about the Cthulhu Mythos. And I feel that the Cthulhu Mythos is best like the first 11 short stories, when it's flavor, when it's fun, when you're not spending like a massive amount of deep dives and world building. And this is in a short story. Right, and I feel like the plot would have been better served with a more epic plot. I feel like the story would have been served by more showing and less telling, right, and so forth. So I just don't like this as much as I was hoping to like it. So I'm only giving this a 5.5. Sorry, Richard Tierney fans, and so forth. I think that the finale did not meet the expectations I had when I saw it. Sorry about that. But there you are. So that is the summoning of Cthulhu, according to, and obviously we're going to try to stop it by Simon Magus and so forth. Even Simon Magus's tools are going to be leveled up, and you're going to find out more stuff about that. And again, into a typical Cthulhu Mythos short story. I just don't like it. It felt own. This collection of the first 11 short stories is just its own and fresh and such. But anyway, but this is more of just a traditional one. So there you are. Although it does still have a fantasy feel, it has more cosmic horror than their previous ones did. So this is more inspired by Lovecraft than his stuff in the Cthulhu Mythos, just as a heads up, and horror stuff, just as a heads up. So there you are. I'll go ahead and leave you to it. Have you read it? If so, what did you think about it? Did you agree or disagree with my 5.5 out of 10? If so, let's talk about it more in the comments below for you folks. If you like this video, why not hit the subscribe button, the like button, the bell icon if you're feeling frisky, and then also let my friends know too, Richard Tierney fans or Cthulhu Mythos fans, those sorts of things for you folks. And as a reminder, the channel's name is the worst thing about new books, and the idea is to find these older books that are classics, like the quote from Jacques Joubert, who said that they were that we kept us from reading the old ones, right? This is decades ago when it was published, so it's definitely older stuff that we might have forgotten about. That's the passion of this channel, right? And then finally, I want to thank you so much just for taking some time out of your day and investing it in watching my video, right? Because we all have so many things, right, that are happening in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spend this time with me, it's incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it much. So once again, have a great day, and thanks.